All right, great. It's 1:30. We'll call the Cumberland County Finance meeting to order. We'll begin with a roll call.
Good afternoon, Commissioner Niebuhr.
Here.
Commissioner Fauci.
I'm here.
And Commissioner Eichelberger.
Present.
Perfect. We'll open the floor up to public comment. Is there anyone online seeking to make public comment? If you do, please raise your hand.
Seeing no public comment.
Okay, anyone in the room here to make public comment? No takers. We'll move on. Next, we're looking for an approval of the minutes for March 6th. I will move to approve the minutes of March 6th.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. Gary, you were approved on that? I'm sorry.
Yes, yes, I said aye. Yep.
Okay. We'll move into the topics of discussion. And first, it looks like Justin, you are up with the tire collection.
PowerPoint going here. Good. Oh,
There you are.
All right. So first off, I've asked Marcus Snyder from Vector Control. He does mosquitoes for the county to come along today. We did a tire event last year for the first time in quite a while. We had done them earlier in the 2000s. Got away from it and then got back to it. And we kind of partnered with these guys. We're looking at it from an illegal dumping perspective, and they're looking at it from mosquito control perspective. As you can see in the first slide here, tires tend to hold water and are a great breeding habitat for mosquitoes. The event went well last year. We held it over a 3-day period, a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday from 4:30 to 6:30. The Tuesday, Wednesday, since we do e-cycling 12 to 4, switching over and getting ready for that was a little hectic. So we'd like to do another event this year. We're proposing a Thursday and Friday from 3 to 6 p.m. Each day. Real quick summary of 2023, just so you can see the expenses and revenues. We charged 15 cents a pound per tire, which I actually like. We saw all different sizes of tires. And it kind of bothers me when there's a flat fee for a tire and someone has a very small tire and someone has a very big tire. But it was kind of a guess. Looking at some historical data, was that a good number? You can see that our total expenses were $41,2837, and we brought in $44,7775, which equates to a cost per pound of about 12 cents. That's a little kind of misleading because you'll see in other slides here, we had a fair amount of full-time staff helping out, that their time was not factored into this. We only factored the part-time. So in reality, it was probably a little higher cost.
Justin, what would an average like car tire weigh?
I think around 30 pounds, 25 to 30 pounds.
Okay.
So when Marcus and I were putting this together last year, we actually called there are some places that will take tires on a daily basis. They usually charge a fee because they're going to get charged a fee by the tire recycler. And 15 cents a pound when the average tire comes up to about $3 a tire. And that's what these places were charging. So we thought it was fair. We didn't want to impede on anything they're doing. So it comes out to about $3 a tire.
That seems very reasonable for someone to properly dispose of that item.
The vendor last year, $125 a ton tipping fee, $250 trailer each way. They could provide a person to stack tires. There's kind of an art to that. Fortunately, we had a trustee last year that was very good at that. So we didn't use that, and I don't intend to use it this year. And then they do charge an additional fee for any oversized tires. I think it's over 36-inch in diameter. We had 21 of those last year. Mahantongo Enterprises is a tire recycler up along 11 and 15 in Liverpool. They've been in the business for a long time, and that's who we use and would intend to use this year. I called them. Their only change in price was an increase in freight from 250 to 275. Running the numbers again, it comes out to 12 cents. So recommending that we let the fee at 15 cents a pound, based on what I told you earlier as well for this year. And then just real quickly, threw in 2 photos. So there's Kirk in the background. Look at, I think he's afraid he got a little bit of dirt on his pants.
Yeah.
Look at his pants. Yeah, intern from Marcus helped out, and then these actually Shope is in the background too. He works both recycling and mosquitoes. And then we had 2 trustees carrying tires there. Having the trustees was a huge help too. And it was a nice event. So this is kind of everyone that pitched in.
You got some tractor tires in there.
We did.
Wow.
We got some big tires. Came in a dump truck, and we just had the guy dump them in the parking lot. They were so heavy to manage. And it was a good team and a good group effort of multiple departments. I think it went very well, and therefore we'd like to do another one. As I proposed, I want to make sure you're okay with 15 cents a pound, because I will have to do a purchase order, and finance will like to know that you guys are okay with that too. So that's our pitch, our proposal.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you guys taking this charge, because like I had mentioned before the meeting started, I was hiking along the Appalachian Trail at different points and had seen where people had thrown tires, and they have since been removed. So I don't know if some good steward just picked them up and brought them in, but I appreciate you hosting this to get them out of the fields around Cumberland County.
But do it.
Keeping the mosquitoes at bay is very important too. Were there any other questions of Justin?
But I think Kirk was killing spotted lantern fly.
Picture.
For the record, the shirt that I had on that day was dirty, and then when I wear it now out to events, everybody tells me my shirt's dirty, but no one gives me a new shirt, and no one else's shirt is dirty, so maybe that tells us something.
I guess it is a little dirty in front.
I say.
Justin, the only thing that I was going to suggest, and I don't know if it's even possible, but we are in the apex of the trucking industry. And I didn't know if anybody would donate that as a service to the county, since it was a fairly large portion of cost. You know, it was not insignificant.
The cost of the event?
The cost of the trucking.
Oh, trucking.
You know, just the
Good
actual,
question.
they would take it for us, if they let us have a trailer and if they take it there.
I could. Yeah.
If you have any connections, I'll ask 2 that I know and see if there would be any
The only,
possibility.
I would say, PA has a law that anyone that transports tires has to have a waste, it's called a waste tire authorization.
Oh, okay.
So that could narrow down your field.
Oh, yeah.
We use Mahantongo, who has that.
Who has that? So it would almost have to be a trash hauler.
It's someone that specializes in hauling tires.
That knocks out the person.
To start, you have to have a authorization to haul tires.
Okay.
Just one other
Good
quick
thought.
note.
Yeah.
One other quick note on this too, just, you know, we have the new community services department. It's really going to be, you know, kind of a merger of the solid waste, recycling and solid waste departments with vector control weights and measures. So you saw some of our staffing plans when we hired Chad Whitmer for that. This is an example of why that works, because you have one department's working on mosquitoes, one that's on solid waste. You bring the 2 together, we can get a lot done with those staff. We have plans for more staff sharing throughout the year. We've already seen some of that with our e-cycling needs this year. We've had some people being out, and Marcus and Chad and Bidner have helped fill in the gap. So I think that new department, they have a lot of similar services. When we put them together, we can do a lot more. And that's really, you see this picture, to me, this is the driving force of why we wanted to do it, because we can do a lot more when we work together.
Perfect. Gary, any questions?
I have one, but it's Kirk. So you mentioned in passing about your department being renamed Community Services. So not related specifically to recycling, but our Department of Aging is Aging and Community Services. Are we concerned at all about that naming regimen creating confusion?
Oh, yeah, good question, Gary. So planning department isn't renamed. What we had proposed when we had solid waste and vector control was that they would be under the community services umbrella. I'm not sure that it's widely known as that. Internally it is. I think from the commissioner's standpoint, you need to be aware of what's there. But I'm not seeing any conflicts of marketing externally that people would make a confusion between the two.
So it won't be on like the website or a phone number specifically assigned to community services or anything of that nature.
I think it's more of an internal designation, Gary.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right. Justin, thank you.
Justin is actually looking for. Need a motion.
Need a motion?
I'm gonna move to approve to hold a tire collection and recycling event in collaboration with Vector Control and keep PA beautiful at the recycling center.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you.
Thank
Sorry
you.
about that. Next up, we have Carl Goshorn talking about an easement agreement for the Holly Springs Borough and the Ridge Road.
Afternoon, commissioners. Yep, you want to take that?
Thank you so much.
Yep. Why we're coming to the commissioners is approximately 400 yards of Ridge Road goes through county property in the Mount Holly Borough. And DCNR actually has the right of way now to do to where they could do work, everything, but they have elected not to do any maintenance on the road for the last 8 years. So last year, during our application period for Dirt and Gravel Roads program, Mount Holly made an application to looking for grant funding to do work. Well, we had to deny that because in order for us to approve somebody to get funding, they have to have the ownership of the road. Go ahead, Gary.
No, sorry, it was just a mistake.
Okay. So that got us into conversations with DCNR, Mount Holly Borough, on what can we do to get some maintenance done on the road, because it's very dangerous, hazardous to drive. It's causing pollution to the Mountain Creek and also some flooding in the Mount Holly Borough. So we've been having conversations with DCNR, Mount Holly, and so they created a agreement, the solicitor did, and Keith has looked at it also, on turning over the right-of-way to the Mount Holly Borough. So 5 of 7 residents have signed off, so it's yet to be the county and then one other landowner. And so that's what we're looking for. And then we could give the grant money to Mount Holly Borough, and also DCNR has $250,000 that they're willing to give towards a project also. So that'd be $350,000, which should do a lot of the work, if not all the work that's needed there to improve the road. And Tom Day is here. If Tom wanted to add to that conversation.
Yeah, as far as Ridge Road was concerned, unbeknown to us, when DCNR walked away from it, we started experiencing a lot of flooding inside the borough. We applied for a $1.6 million grant for Hill Street, in which we were Penvest granted us that. We thought that would correct the water issue. We had a lake literally form at our park that was 11 feet deep that we had to haul in almost 400 truckloads of fill so that no kid drowned in it. Moreland experienced the homes around there flooding, that 3 Moreland had to reconstruct their basement walls. As we started looking into it deeper, we found that the water is a result of how it flows off of that mountain, and with not having the storm culverts in place that breaks it up, it all comes down across 2 locations. And now currently it's turned to a point that it looks like Mountain Creek running beside the old Deer Lodge, and it's washed all the mud down into the parking lot out onto 34. We had to close 34 the last storm we had, and clean up the storm culverts along there because they were being clogged up by the runoff coming off of the mountain, which would be at the edge of Terry Rickards and the county's property, where that portion is 1/3 of the road is now washed away. So it's our goal for both safety features and for our residents. We have 3 residents that reside up there on Ridge Road, and that doesn't count just on the other side of the borough line. John Riddlesberger has resided up there probably for the last 40 some years, but the road's coming to a point where it's impassable. The fire department has changed their call out. I think the only thing that might be able to make it up there if there's a forest fire is a brush truck. And then that can only haul, I think, about 1,000 gallons of water. So that doesn't do any good for us. So there's a couple concerns, the flooding, and then for emergency purposes, you know, and the, I guess, investment there for the county is the fact that you have 990 acres of that land.
Tom, for the record, you're here representing Mount Holly Borough, or?
I am the borough manager
Borough
and chief of police for Mount Holly. Yes.
Okay, thank you. And so when you're willing to assume the ongoing costs related to this road, the Mount Holly Borough Mount Holly Extended has it agreed to do that, or?
We have agreed to do the maintenance as far as the cleanup and stuff like that for future funding. That is a concern for Mount Holly, that, you know, we don't get liquid fuels for Ridge Road. This is a road that the only one for the last 100 and some years has been DCNR that had the right of way. Almost all the property lines are cut to Ridge Road. I just see it's going to be a nightmare that if DCNR walks away from this, which they plan to do in 2025, that there's going to be a lot of right-of-way issues for property owners up in there, because, you know, this road has been established for so many years. We're willing to do maintenance on it, but when it comes to future funding, we'll probably have to continue to seek county funds or through the conservation low road gravel for that kind of repair work. Now, Lakeside Drive, which runs parallel to Mountain Creek there at the Deer Lodge, that's all county owned. The borough has been maintaining that whole stretch just to encourage people to go back to the parking area of the preserve and utilize it, which we've noticed that on the weekends, the preserve is just packed full at the parking lot. But we've invested into that for that purpose, to draw in people to the preserve. But the mile of Ridge Road, that would be a substantial cost to us to try keeping that up for future. That
I told Tom, you know, we get an annual allocation as long as we get the money spent, you know, that we might be able to assist in the future also, if there's still maintenance concerns and everything. So that's a possibility.
Kirk, once this ownership would change, then they would be eligible for other funding that you would foresee. I mean,
For liquid fuels?
yeah.
I don't know.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
They're pretty strict with what roads liquid fuels can.
Okay.
And even if you did, it would be minimal. It really wouldn't be enough to.
Okay.
And there's still, you know, South Middleton and Dickinson, they have some of the road there where it needs, that needs some work also, maybe not as extensive as Mount Holly Borough, but they were looking to hopefully improve the road down. And there's the right-of-way issues there too.
And just so the commissioners understand that from Lakeside Drive, where it initiates, Ridge Road initiates, it runs all the way to Shippensburg. So it's not just a 1 or 2 mile run, that runs the top of the mountain all the way to Shippensburg.
And they don't have ownership of the whole route, though, do they?
DCNR owns a lot of Michaud State Forest runs through that section. And that's why they had an interest in Ridge Road to Mount Holly, logging purposes, access, so forth. But unbeknown to us, they decided that 5 or 6 mile stretch until it reaches Michaud State Forest, that they decided that wasn't an interest to them and worth funding anymore. So you can access their side on Ridge Road through 233. Yeah. What is it?
Centerville Road to
Centerville Road, yes. So that's how they're looking at accessing their property from that side of it, not from Mount Holly side anymore.
But it does pose a safety issue and certainly an issue as it relates to the mountain catching on fire.
Right.
Would the improvements get it to a state where a larger, fire equipment would be able to be used?
I would think so, yes.
That road always was able to handle an engine, multiple engines to make it up there for forest fires. Several years ago, we had a lightning strike up there and they were able to get an engine up at that point and extinguish it in a short amount of time, that it didn't, get any larger. But now they're to a point where only a brush truck can make it up there.
Okay. Thank you. I think the only other question I had, and Keith, they talk about, there's one property owner. What if all property owners don't agree to this? Does that not allow it to progress?
I don't think it stops it. I think the right of way that DCNR has in that section of the road would be sufficient, but I don't know what the plans are for where that is, and what the plans are for maintaining that.
So the one lander that hasn't signed yet is the third property up. So Reichert, the county, Reichert, then the next property owner. And we asked DCNR if that person doesn't sign off on the right of way, could still do the work because DCNR had the right of way, and they said they'd look into it. So that's still a possibility if they all don't sign.
The holdup of that property owner, I'm sorry to interrupt, but the holdup to that property owner, I went over twice to speak with them. They truly believe that after all these years, DCNR will not walk away from it. So Mr. Hall from DCNR is going to make it clear to them that this is their intention, and hopefully they'll then reconsider and sign off to the borough. But that's the biggest holdup, is they just don't believe that DCNR is going to do that, and they don't want to grant the borough the right of way.
Thank you.
Well,
I think DCNR has made it very clear that they're abandoning.
Oh, yeah.
Right away.
Yeah, they made that decision 8 years ago, and they've stuck to it.
Yeah.
well, the interesting part about it is the one that doesn't want to sign is the only one that, if they do dissolve the right of way and it reverts back to the property owners, they will be the only one that has no other access than to go across county property or other people's property. Everybody else has access either off of Hill Street or Route 34. They're the only ones that'll be landlocked.
Hopefully that there's some resolution there that's positive for everybody to move forward.
We've been working on this a year. It's getting close. And our funding, we need to get that spent by, June 30th.
Yeah.
So that's why we're hoping that we can get something done late spring.
Gary, did you have any questions? Yes. No? Jean?
Did we want to
move
go? I'm ready to
forward?
roll.
Okay.
I will move to approve the easement agreement with Mount Holly Springs Borough for Ridge Road.
I'll second. Oh. Been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Hopefully we'll be
Thank
able
you.
to come back in a few months with some positive.
That would be great. Thank you, Carl.
Yep.
All right, next up, Mr. Shively.
Good afternoon. We're looking to have you potentially review and consider an approval to do a letter of intent to join the South Central
Intercounty Communications Network, SCICNet, which is the regional radio network currently with Adams, Dauphin, and Franklin counties. As we've continued to work through our regional radio or regional phone project with those same 3 counties that we're now a member of for the statewide calling. We've had additional discussions on joining, whether we should join the radio. We had reviewed joining the radio at the start of the radio.
Can you mute Gary?
Sure.
We talked about joining the regional radio project several times throughout the radio project to date. We went back to our core goals. Initially, we thought standalone might be best in the event of emergency operations or we lose network, so that we would have cores and servers in our back room. We further have kind of reviewed that with cost containment efforts and again, some of the lessons learned with the regional phone project. And there's also many similar statewide efforts for regional radio. As many as 10 counties, or I think even out in the region 13 around Pittsburgh, there's even more. So certainly being done with the improvements in the microwave, redundant resiliency with microwave connectivity in multiple directions. We think that very low risk on losing the network itself. If we do lose the network, we found that we can purchase an edge, which is, for lack of a better technical term, a mini core, instead of having the full-blown core servers at our facility. So with that, we're still working through what the exact cost savings would be, but at this point, we'd like to do the formal letter of intent to at least move forward. Then they would vote to let us in through their communications council and their executive board review process. And then from there, if approved, they would do an agreement and assignment of delegates from Cumberland County to join officially. So there would still be another final agreement to officially join and do the paperwork to join as an agreement. But the letter of intent is our official request to join.
Okay. Good. And Bob, you mentioned it was us, Adams, Dauphin, and Franklin currently.
Correct.
I think in some of the projections you gave us, it was based upon numbers of folks in the pool, so to speak. Are they looking for other counties to bring into that mix as well?
We have talked to Perry. Perry had upgraded their radio system a couple years ago. So whether or not they could also move to join, but we had initial quote pricing for the 3 counties versus 4 counties versus 5 counties. So obviously the more counties you have with the maintenance and ongoing recurring costs, we would share that. And they're sharing that equally.
Okay. I commend you for revisiting this because this project has gone on a very long time. And the decisions that you made on the front end, now as things have changed, I think it's commendable that you've reevaluated those and make sure that you're still doing the right thing.
So, well, thank you. I would say also, we did meet with the radio advisory board, and there wasn't any opposition from any of the radio advisory board to join. So, and in fact, we had positive comments from several of the members that they thought it would help with interoperability as they move between the counties. So I think if it doesn't do it initially, it will set the stage for like the multi-band radios that can operate in the different counties, that they will move a little quicker or be able to use the different systems interchangeably.
Good, that's good.
So,
did you have any questions?
I don't have any questions.
Gary, did you have any questions of Bob?
No, I think that's pretty proactively addressed. So,
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion.
I will move to approve the letter of intent for Cumberland County requesting to join the regional SCICNet radio system.
I will second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Righty.
thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other business to come before the board at this time? Appears not. Would you like to make a motion to
I
adjourn?
move to adjourn.
We're adjourned. Thank you.